5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
How's it going, everybody? We apologize. I apologize for the late start. Sorry, I was having some technical difficulties, but we got those all figured out, and here we are. Wednesday night Skull Experience. We are joined by Ali this evening. We'll kick it off with you, man. How is it going this evening? How are you feeling about this Viking season so far? Let's start there before we get into some other stuff tonight.
It's been a fun. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
It's been a fun winning streak, and I know, like many, after Kirk went down, I mean, oh man, it just looks like the season was potentially headed for disaster. But Josh Dobbs, man, oh, he's been fun to watch, man. I mean, I'd still much rather have Kirk, but Dobbs is giving us reasons to be excited again. You know, it's been fun to watch.
Absolutely. Yeah. So obviously, big win on Sunday. Big win that potentially could have been bigger if we played a little bit more aggressive in the second half on both sides of the ball. Didn't happen a bit at the end of the day. I think I saw, was it two-toned up here early? Said, as long as we win, I don't really care. Obviously talking about the Denver game, but that's kind of how I felt about this Saints game, especially with everything that's been going on last couple weeks here with no JJ, no Kirk now, Dobbs coming in on short notice. Everything that's gone on, you got to take the wins, especially with how good Dobbs looked in that first half. So, yeah, I mean, overall, there's tons of reason to be excited. We'll talk a little bit about last game before getting big into the Denver game. But, I mean, that Denver game, you know, you look at the Broncos are kind of riding a nice little 3-game win streak. Russ is looking kind of like the Russ of old. They have some weapons on that team. So, I mean, just one challenge onto another one where, yeah, their defense isn't great, but their offense does have some weapons. We went from a not so great offense and a really good defense now to a solid offense and then, not so good defense. But I mean, it's going to be fun. There'll be some fun matchups to watch going into that game against the Broncos, much like there were fun matchups to watch last week as well with Marshawn Lattimore against a couple of our guys and our defense versus some of their offensive weapons. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, 6-4 Vikes squad and everything's looking good. Sunday night matchup that did not get flexed now because this game is actually against two teams that are kind of riding high. So yeah, overall, got to be with how things have gone.
Yeah, give me 1 second here. I want to do some shout outs here. Everybody in the building. We got Ali in here. Again, I got something a little bit different for a giveaway, but let me do some shout outs. Like I said, Gary, what up, dude? Our guy Gary's in the building. We got Joey Hawking in the building. Two-Tone Tony in the building. Who else we got in here? Who else do we got in here? Skull for Life Barber's in here. I'm pretty sure I saw JJ in here somewhere. And JJ, we got a special one today. I told y'all that I was waiting for Jordan Addison rookie cards, and I didn't think they were going to make it, but they did. So we're going to be doing the Jordan Addison rookie card giveaway for this show. Get those hashtag skulls in the comments, like the video, subscribe to our channel, GG Sports Podcast and Minnesota Sports Talk if you haven't already. But definitely go and find Ali on Twitter right here. Drop the link in the comments and go follow him there as well. Oh yeah, and hashtag 1,000 subs. We're like 17 subs away from 1,000. Away from 1,000, and everybody knows once that happens, we're going to be giving away a Daniil Hunter auto out of 50. So yeah, make sure everybody's ready. I'm just going to put in the title, we're at 1,000 subscribers. You know what that means, and then y'all can come in. I'm not going to try to push it. It's only for the people who've been here. So yeah, we appreciate that. But anyways, yes, back to these games here, and back to just the Josh Dobbs thing in general, I guess, it is amazing what he's been able to do coming in here. Obviously, I mean, off of like 5 days, the performance he had to end up winning the game for us against the the Falcons, and then coming last weekend against the Saints, and then having especially a really good first half. And then the second half, I just think we played very conservative in general. I think that was kind of the game plan. Kevin O'Connell went back and talked about it and said, all right, yeah, maybe I should have played less conservative, I guess. But either way, I mean, that's 12 days after he was signed as a Viking, and it's been extremely impressive. And we've been able to see what it looks like in this offense, having a guy who can be more mobile after, Kirk Cousins, who isn't very mobile. But Ali, how do you feel about just Dobbs a little bit how do you feel about him moving forward? I know you said that you'd prefer to see Kirk Cousins still here, which is obviously extremely fair. But do you think that there's a chance that Dobbs could end up being part of the future? Or do you just straight out think it's way too early to tell? We need to see like 3 games like this string together to even have that conversation. What do you think on Josh Dobbs and his potential future for this year, but even past this year potentially?
Yeah, it's still pretty early, but yeah, I mean, if he has another 3 good games, I mean, you got to consider him for next year. I'm not saying they should just automatically say goodbye to Kirk. I mean, but like it's not. It's gonna be a tough decision. I mean, and also you have to also wonder too. I mean, I know Dobbs is a career backup, but you also have to wonder. Okay, the more he gets familiar with this team, once he gets JJ back, and also KJ was out the last game, and he already has a very nice chemistry with TJ Hawkinson. So you have to wonder, could he perhaps end up being the guy going forward the next few years, perhaps more?
Yeah, for sure. Dave, I know I mean, obviously we know big Kirk guy, right? One of the biggest Kirk guys in our group. Even watching Josh Dobbs has to be pretty fun though, right?
No.
I mean, hey, I don't know if you see me on Twitter, but that's all I'm talking about. And yet, nobody has actually came out and called me a Dobbs meat rider for
someone did
for supporting our quarterback. Nobody's called me a Dobbs stan or delusional or don't you know he's got a losing record? We got a losing record quarterback. Nobody's tweeting me talking about how bad he's playing when he throws when he bounce passes to a guy in a flat. Everything's great. Everything's great. Mm-hmm. So I'm freaking all about it, man. I nobody believed me when I said next guy up. I start rooting for that guy. That's how I am. I'm excited to see Dobbs play, but I am realistic. Mm-hmm. We played one good quarter this last game. We scored 3 touchdowns in the second quarter, assisted by a lot of penalties, and he's a closer. I love him in the red zone. So that's what helped this team. That first 2 drives should have been intercepted and 3 and out. And then the second half, no offense whatsoever. So we're still there. I mean, I'm talking to a guy next to me. This feels like 98. And then the second half happens. Right. So, and then the first game, he dug his hole, but he was able to get out of it. And that's what I liked about him. So he is saving Kevin O'Connell for maybe conservative play calling. We haven't thrown the ball downfield yet. What was the longest pass he's thrown to TJ Hawkinson for that touchdown? Probably, right? So we haven't seen the deep ball yet.
Madison throw last week was decently long.
Madison?
And the Addison throw the week before that, he got his feet down in.
Madison was Jaron Hall's.
Yeah, Jaron Hall. That was Jaron Hall.
Yeah, Addison when he got his feet in against the Falcons, that had to be what? That'd be like 30 yards.
So we haven't
nothing too crazy, I guess.
We haven't gone deep yet. He's had a lot of open dudes, right? Like they're completely wide open, and he's getting like 5 seconds to throw the ball. So everything's working. We haven't seen him with a lot of adversity other than the adversity he caused himself. So that was the first game, obviously, and we are not gonna fault him for coming off the street and playing football. He played better than anybody could imagine. Not knowing people's names and being 5 days in. So I think a lot of fans are pretty realistic. They say, hey, he's good. Let's see what's next. And I did a poll on that, but it leans to him being a good quarterback. And he's a guy that could keep it going. And I feel like as long as this offensive line keeps doing what it's doing, and he disperses the ball a little more, 15 targets to TJ Hawkinson, 15 to the next 4 guys. So I don't know if that's the offense or is more comfortability but shout out to TJ Hawkinson. He was open, right? There's a couple passes where he didn't lead some guys enough, and then there's the TJ Hawkinson where he led the guy into the defender instead of the sideline. That was, I think, on the first or second drive. But I want to see. I haven't seen like tight window throws that he like. Oh my God, that was a dime. Maybe once or twice. I think early TJ Hawkinson in the first game, he threw a real nice ball over the defender high, so only TJ could get it. So there's been some really good throws. And then there's been a bounce pass and another off throw here or there. But for the most part, same thing. Cousins does, has had off throws too. So I think he's good, man. I think we got something here. And we'll go on to the next topic, but I'm sure we'll talk more about it. But me and Rapp went into deep and what his market will be in the off season. I mean, it's not a good market for quarterback.
Like what did Case Keenum get from Denver that year after
$20 million
year with us?
Yeah,
is that over 3 years or that was a 3-year deal, right?
That was
2 years.
Each year is worth $20 million.
Each year is worth $20 million. Okay, I mean, hey, if Josh Dobbs keeps playing this way, it's one of those weird things. Like, would you take him at that number next year?
But that's back when the highest quarterback was making 30.
That's true. So it would go up.
Now they're making 53 or 57.
Just kind of caught lightning in a bottle that year, and then next year went on to. But again, I'm going against.
I like Dobbs more than I like Casey Keenum.
Yep, I'm going against my own thought process. So let's just enjoy this season and talk about next season when this season's over. So I got to get back into that mindset.
Well,
but
the thing obviously with Dobbs, it is only a couple games. I mean, there is a reason why. So, I mean, there's a reason. I mean, this is what everybody wants to say. There's a reason why he's on his 6th team or 5th team or whatever it is, which is definitely true. Doesn't mean it's impossible for a quarterback to, find his groove at this point. It's pretty rare, but it has happened in the NFL. Obviously, a lot of us will talk about Kurt Warner, as that's like the most recent memory of something like that happening to the extent of a Hall of Fame. But it is still just.
I don't think Brady's gonna
games,
make the cut.
Well, Brady was a gem. Like it's the difference was Brady was like a late round pick that became really good, like Russell Wilson or whatever.
Well,
as far as like a
4th round.
Yeah, Dobbs. But then as far as like a journeyman,
Dobbs was 4th round. Yeah.
As far as like a journeyman
Joe Montana was
quarterback,
2, I believe, right?
Who's that?
Wasn't Joe Montana also? Okay.
3rd round.
Yeah, like that happens more often than like a guy who's been in the league for 6 years and then decides to, I'm going to be a good quarterback. And like the Kurt Warner example,
I think Dobbs has shown flashes though.
The thing with in his first 4 years of his career, first 4 or 5, he barely got any playing time at all.
But also he was playing behind Big Ben, which I mean, you're not going to get a lot of playing time there.
Still, I mean,
I guess in Tennessee had a really good showing.
He had a pretty good 2 for 2. I think he ended up getting a strip sack for them to miss playoffs against the Jaguars. So that's an example. And then Arizona. And obviously, I mean, these are his first time in his career that he's gotten true, meaningful playing time. And obviously with the Vikings, this is the first time he's gotten not just good playing time, but also with a lot of good talent around him. So it'd be interesting. That's one thing. Like I know a lot of people say like can't get too premature on Dobbs left. I do think we still have to see a couple games. Obviously, one thing that's absolutely clear is the dude is in it. And I'm comfortable saying elite, but elite as far as avoiding pressure and moving the sticks with his legs. So that's something I think is unquestionable. But what you're saying, and I do think he has a strong enough arm to make any throw he wants. It really comes down to see how his accuracy goes. And I also want to mention one thing too, is Casey talked about this, is that after he got sacked at the end of the game last week, all of a sudden you could kind of see a little bit discomfort out of him. And he ended up throwing that he threw that little pass. I think it was to TJ Hawkinson, like
the bounce pass
left or whatever.
Flat.
Yeah, in the flats or whatever. That happened like right after him getting sacked. So there is a little bit of like, okay, now the pressure is coming, and he did see a little discomfort. So I do think we have to press the brakes a little bit on the idea of Josh Dobbs. But if obviously what he's done has been amazing for how long he's been here. But I do want to see a couple games string together where he is playing like that before, we think he's going to be even Case Keenum, really, because obviously you got to be dragging us to the playoff, not dragging us because we have talent, but bringing us to the playoffs and then doing well there as well.
Sure. And like Gary says here, Kevin O'Connell putting him in some really good positions this year as well. I mean, like the way he's handled him this first couple weeks has been masterful from a coaching perspective. So happy to see that with KOC as well.
I was at the game on Sunday, and it just it seemed like every time Dobbs ran, like the crowd was just pumped. They're like, because like even people that love Kirk, they're just like, oh my God, he's running her.
Right. Yep. Never seen that before.
Dude, and to Young Smokey, welcome in, dude. Welcome in again, everybody in here. One more time. I'm giving away. I seen JD up here. I actually wanted to.
Yeah, where have you been?
We got JD. We haven't seen you in a while, man. Skull, buddy. Skull. We're giving away Jordan Addison rookie card. Get the hashtag skulls in the comments. Young Smokey. I don't know if you've been here before, but we give away these cards. Get hashtag skull for your chance to win this card at the end of the show. Same with you, Marcelino. We're giving away a Jordan Addison rookie card. Hashtag skull in the comments. Like our video. Subscribe if you haven't already. GG Sports Podcast and Minnesota Sports Talks with Sport Talk with Dave. And also we have our guest Ali on here and at Ali on here. And you should go to his Twitter and follow him there. But yeah, back to
well, I want to say something like Sarah said. He improved from Atlanta to the Saints. Obviously, he had another week to prepare. But what I liked about it is he protected the ball a lot better. He protected the ball a lot better, and that's what dug him a hole. And he was a little more comfortable. Well, I mean, the pocket was so like his touchdown. That pocket was a Grand Canyon wide. He didn't get touched. And he ran around, got in the end zone, right? No one even touched him. So we're yet to see, because the first game, he fumbled because the pocket collapsed on him, right? It knocked out of his hand. Mm-hmm. And then the safety was him, 3-man rush getting sacked. So this last game, obviously, I felt like they protected him even better this game. But the best thing about it, I thought, was that he protected the ball a lot better. He didn't hold it out there willy-nilly and stuff like he was doing. A lot better. I was impressed.
What were you saying, Ali?
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and there's times where he was just making right decisions by not seeing anybody open and throwing the ball out. I've been saying that a lot of these shows, but just been throwing the ball out of bounds and stuff like that. So I think the guy has all the talent in the world. He definitely does, and it's just, will he be able to?
There was only one play. There was only one play where I thought he could have waited a little bit longer and a guy was coming open and he ran it instead, but he got 5-6 yards on the play. So it was a positive play. So and that was just like last week with the touchdown he had running. Mm-hmm. There was guys open, but he scored a touchdown. So how can you complain about that? Anyway, he gets in the end zone. I don't give a F.
Yeah. So Dave, like you're talking about, was Hawkinson's touchdown the longest one? That was 28 yards. Jordan Addison's 29-yarder on the first possession. We got tipped off the defender. That was
that should have been a pick.
Yeah.
But Kirk should have had a pick against San Fran, right? And Jordan Addison ripped it out of the guy's hands. But that definitely was. Yeah. That was right in that dude's hands.
Yeah, I think once JJ comes back and Dobbs gets more familiar, I think you'll then see O'Connell calling for more shots downfield.
Yeah, play action would be awesome. With Ty Chandler. Ty Chandler, imagine if Ty Chandler takes off this next game, what our play action game or taking shots down the field will look like. They're gonna have to bring more people in the box with Dobbs' running ability, having the design of that one play where Ty Chandler took the direct snap. They thought, well, they're spying Dobbs, so let's take a man out of the play. And they moved him over to the right, and then they had one less guy on the left side. So they man on man and wide ass open run into the end zone.
And I know he had that touchdown call back, but that was a very nice run by Chandler. I don't remember who it was.
That's him, man. That's what I think of him right there.
Who was called for that penalty? I don't remember who, but that was a nice run.
Brian O'Neill.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and speaking of the running game, one thing me and Dave have talked about before is about Madison. Like, there's been plenty of times where I've seen him run, and I'm thinking if he had just slightly a little bit more speed, he could have run for at least another 30, 40 yards. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
Especially in
and
those big,
I've
especially those
also,
games where he had 90 some yards. Those 2 games.
Mhm.
I think with him, I mentioned this before. I think with him, it's almost like I think he's getting into his head too much, where he feels like he needs to be that lead back, so he needs to make a play. Where his game has always been to change of pace to Delvin Cook, where Delvin liked to dance around. He was always the one cut, get the ball, charge up the first hole you see up the middle, and go right. And I think he's been trying too much to where when that first look isn't completely open, he's trying to bounce it outside, and he just doesn't have the lateral quickness to do that. It's just I don't know. I think he's just trying to play beyond what his skill set is. And I think he just needs to get back to playing Alexander Madison football, which is just get the ball and just go. I think he's kind of losing that a little bit, just trying to make something happen on every play. And it's just, I don't know, something about it just isn't working. Like the guy still has talent, but I mean, if anything this year, he's just showing he's not like a lead back type running back. And that's fine. Every team, especially in today's NFL, having those two different types of running backs is huge, right? But now it just comes down to Kevin O'Connell seeing that and just giving more opportunity to some of those quicker guys like Cam Akers, who wasn't used nearly enough when he was here. Now you got to do it with Ty Chandler. You got to make it a 50-50 split just to keep the defenses guessing a little bit.
Oh, Cam Akers would have been so nice to have
one
going
play
forward.
where he missed a hole.
Cam Akers was nice.
But Kenny Nwangu, man, he got in there, pressed the hole, wasn't there, bounced outside. That would have been tackled on the spot if it was Madison. He would have, and Madison has been indecisive. And when, like for instance, Kenny saw it was clogged. He pressed the hole, it was clogged. Boom, broke it outside. Nice little run. So I apologize, Kenny Nwangu. I am glad you are still on this team. We need you. Let's go. So I don't feel so bad. Give Kenny 5 to 8 carries. Give the rest to Ty Chandler this week. I want to see Ty, man.
Yeah, that's your guy. That's your guy. And see some more Jalen Naylor. Obviously, if JJ comes back,
Naylor got a catch.
Yeah, Naylor did, and he looked good.
15 yards, I think. Yep.
Yeah,
but he had 93% of the snaps, only 1 catch. So, come on, Dobbs, spread the ball around. There's other players than T.J. Hawkinson.
we need to make Jalen Naylor a star out here. But yeah, no, I agree with all you guys. I think it's going to be nice to kind of see Ty Chandler be that guy. I know Dave's been on that train for a while. But yeah, the Kene thing, I do think he is a guy. I think out of probably any player on our team, if someone's has an opportunity to break a big play, he's probably the one to do it. Obviously, that's why he's the kick returner as well, because he's probably the fastest guy on this team and has the ability to, find holes and, break one loose. So I do think that's a good thing about him. And I do think that's another reason why you should definitely give him at least a handful of touches. But do I think like he is a smaller guy? I'm not sure if he's going to be able to handle a lot of physical tackling and all that kind of stuff. So I do think it does feel like it'd be more of like a gadget type of situation. But I mean, I think that's one thing that we are missing from this team, especially now that our quarterback can be mobile, is a guy that can, from the backfield, can break one out. And Ty Chandler did show he does have the speed and he can do it. But Kene, I think even more
6'1",
so has
210 pounds.
Who? Chandler?
He's a small dude.
Kene?
Oh, Kenny's 6'1", 210. Ty Chandler.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Well,
I never knew him to be a small guy.
Going on rap.
And then 5'11", and then Ty Chandler's 5'11".
He just seems like he goes down. He seems to get. He doesn't. Maybe it's just his running isn't aggressive. He doesn't seem very aggressive. He seems more of like.
I haven't seen him a whole lot, so I don't know. Yeah. And he never got. He was always the backup at Iowa State, so I don't know.
Yeah, and Dave, when Ty Chandler had that touchdown out of the Wildcat, I mean, I couldn't help but think about the Percy Harvin days.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I could. Here? And they used them to split out too. So it's nice to have Ty Chandler in there if you're down a receiver. That's a nice thing.
Yeah, and Ty Chandler was a part of that 2022 class, which was labeled a bust for a while now. I mean, he's looking decent. Andrew Booth is looking decent.
Yeah,
and Lewis Seen, unfortunately, still can't get on the field, but thankfully we got 3 good safeties.
In the Minnesota Vikings team history right now. I'm telling you, best kept secret on
I
the team.
mean,
Next year, watch
Moose
out.
getting more playing time. Asamoah's probably going to have a big part in this next game. We have a starting right guard out of that draft. We got Ty Chandler's going to be our lead back. We got Jalen Naylor, who was our third receiver. Who knows what happened? KJ Osborne's coming back, so he's our number one again, right? He's just going to take over as number one receiver.
Now it's still Jordan Addison.
I know, but hey, I don't know. Does he lose his? Did he lose his job to Addison? I don't know. But and then Nick Muse, man, he's still on the team. He's still on the team.
And I think they opened up his window to return to practice today. So who knows, right? We'll have too many quarterbacks, too many receivers to choose from going forward. Young Smokey, I definitely do think it's the ribs why Hawkinson likes to turn, especially these last couple weeks. I know. I mean, I've never had a rib injury, but
I thought it was the oblique.
Either way, though, turning your back probably not the worst idea when you have one of those front.
And speaking of Ed Ingram, his play the last several weeks has just been very encouraging to say the least. I mean, especially with how, last year he didn't do very good, even though he improved at the end. Then first 2-3 games this year, he struggled, especially he caused that fumble week 1 against Tampa. He's really gone up since.
Absolutely. And Canizzo, yes, the Viking or the Minnesota has the hottest team in the NFL and the hottest team in the NBA right now. And it's amazing to see.
Hey, let's go. I know.
And the Twins are undefeated this month.
Yep. Hey, the Twins won a freaking playoff game this year. That's
two.
That's
right yeah, they won a whole series this year. So yeah, Minnesota sports in general.
The Wild, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. They're out of cap hell next year. So things are looking up. Things are looking up for the state of Minnesota. At least until we get to the playoffs, and then in which case we'll completely lose it all. But the regular season's fun.
Well, I think things are looking good for PJ Fleck and his Gophers.
We won't talk about we won't talk about the Gophers. We won't talk about
No.
Back to the Eddie.
String back-to-back years together.
Back to Ed Ingram and just that offensive line in general, because Ed Ingram he's definitely stepped up these last few weeks, and which is definitely encouraging to see, because obviously we spent a 2nd-round pick on him. He's part of the Packers trade in the draft, all that stuff that everybody talked about. We bring Reisner in, and even I was on this side too, where it seemed obvious you're going to put Reisner in Ed Ingram's spot, but it ends up ultimately Cleveland gets injured. Maybe this whole time the idea was to put Reisner in Cleveland's spot. I'm not really sure. But to see the progress in Ed Ingram is definitely encouraging for the future. And Reisner, I mean, what's your guys' opinion on what we're seeing in Reisner? Because he's playing obviously really solid, but it's not just that. It's just the energy. And that brings me just to our organization in general. Like with Dobbs even coming in here, just feels like these players that are here, they're just happy to be here, to be a Viking. And that's just super cool to see. And we know from just outside sources, we hear how nice everything sounds to be in a part of our organizations compared to a lot of them, especially Arizona Cardinals with Dobbs. But no, I think that's one thing that is extremely exciting to watch, is just how excited all these players, these new incomers are to be a Viking.
And that's top down. Like that's what Kwesi's brought here. That's what Kevin O'Connell's brought here. And obviously winning helps for sure. Like when you're able to win football games like 13-4 last year, like that's why you notice things getting probably a little more tense, at least from the outside looking in those first few weeks. I mean, everybody on the inside will tell you we never changed it in here, but I mean, obviously winning helps when you start at 0-3 off a 13-4 season. It's not a great look, but as things turn around, like winning helps, but it's all about culture, right? Like there's a reason when this team was down, why they didn't just quit. Like the Zimmer, like the last couple of years of the Zimmer regime, if this were to, which you saw as it happened, we got down, some whatever starts, and we never really quite got back into the playoff race, never got back to 500. We're always just kind of like that, the middling until it just kind of fizzled out at the end. And that's why the whole Zimmer regime got a little bit old, like they needed a culture switch in the house. And that's exactly what came in with Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell. And that's a big testament to why we're sitting here after the start we had talking about a 6-4 team that's on the rise. And, I mean, Josh Dobbs, you're seeing people talk about him on ESPN. Who'd have thought, right? When we signed him, we never would have thought that he'd be getting,
this is next level hype, like the cover photo of the NFL Twitter account and all that stuff.
Right. Absolutely. So it's like, and that's, again, it's a testament to what the new leadership has brought, and a testament to the Wilfs, who have always been this type of ownership that wants, this is what they want. They want teams that are competitive, and that's what you want out of, like, you don't want people that are just going to quit. You want competitive people that don't give up on a season, even though you start out 0-2, 0-3. You know, it's
right.
It's good.
And you're talking about the culture. I mean, you can just tell how much O'Connell loves the players and how much they love him. I mean, you could just, like, it's very easy to sense that, you know. And
Yeah.
and you know, and Zimmer did some good things, but you know, with how the last 2 years went, it was time to move on. And you can just tell O'Connell has just changed the whole culture. And you know, you can just tell the whole organization just is really embracing him altogether.
And he's got energy. Like, on the sidelines, a player makes a big play, and he's out there fist pumping harder than most of the players are. Like, that's what you want to see: the energy, the fire from your head coach. Does he need to get, you know, maybe a little? I don't want to call him soft, but does he need to get maybe a little less nice in certain regards? I think so. But as time goes on, as he gets used to the job, I think he's going to learn that. But for now, his attitude is what this team needs, and it's working. It's working, absolutely.
Yeah, and if
it's top down too. Kwesi's bringing in guys that fit. Right, Cam Akers fit. You know, Dalton Reisner fits. You know, making a tough choice on some players, but bringing back a Jordan Hicks. People thought that was dumb. I didn't. I thought that was if you were going to get rid of Kendricks, you needed to keep Hicks. And I get a little tired when first few weeks of people telling me that we didn't have any leaders on this team, just because they're not screaming and doing dances coming out of the tunnel doesn't mean that we don't have leaders on the team. The fact that we came back from 1-4, that we had guys decide, you know what, we're not having fun. Let's plan some celebration. Sure enough, boom, we're turning the ball, we're getting turnovers. Hey, you know what? Let's change up the music. I like Creed. Let's play Creed. Let's rally around that.
Apparently we stole that from the Texas Rangers. I found that out.
Oh yeah, but we stole the skull clap from Iceland. So Iceland soccer team.
Let us use it. That's not stealing.
Well, we use it. We use the Creed thing better, so it's ours.
Well,
now.
anyways,
they want a World Series though, so we'll.
We have leaders throughout this team. And the proof I have is that we were 0-3 and now we're 6-4, and there were conscious decisions by players on this team to rally around, if it was a touchdown celebration or a song or just their work ethic or their dedication to not turn the effing ball over. How many people laughed at KOC for going to the internet to find things to help him for ball security?
Oh yeah,
what are we 5-0 since then? 5-1 since then? I'm like,
no, YouTube teaches you everything. You can find anything you want on there.
Whatever, Amazon or wherever you got that stuff.
But you talk about Jordan Hicks. Yeah, the decision to bring him back was good. Although I was surprised a little bit that they brought him back.
Well, Anthony,
I wasn't, because we wouldn't have had any linebackers. We would have had we had one guy. We'd had one guy die. We would have had die on our team. That would have been our linebacker.
Well, I mean, the Anthony Barr thing is. I mean, I was surprised too, because I just didn't even think of, like, obviously when Jordan Hicks goes down and you're thinking like, all right, you're gonna have to bring someone in. Anthony Barr just didn't really pop in my head. All of a sudden, I was like, oh, I didn't even realize at that point that he wasn't even playing football right now, or even on a team at all at that point.
Well thought of play. Another Kwesi decision. Well thought of player. It was a guy they actually looked at trying to keep. Didn't let it happen, but it wasn't because they didn't like him. So now he's back. You know what I was thinking when that happened? I'm like, we finally get a 3-4. He goes signs for $3 million in Dallas, and I'm going, we can't afford $3 million to bring a guy back to play in a defense that he was made for.
Prime Anthony Barr would have been a perfect fit for what we're doing.
I was just about to say that, actually. I talked about it on Twitter too. I mean, Barr was good in Zimmer's scheme, but yeah, like he was just his skill
wasn't
set
rushing
was always,
him.
Yeah, but his skill set would have been perfect for the 3-4 defense. I mean, yeah, because rushing the passer was always his strength.
Yeah.
In college, he was I still mad that we don't have Aaron Donald and we had Anthony Barr, but I will always say that. That's the guy I wanted in that draft, and he went 12th overall, and Barr went 9th or 17th. I forget what Donald went, but yeah, I will always remember that. But hey, I like the fact that we brought in a guy that's familiar with the community, familiar with the organization, and a good guy.
I don't know how to do this.
JJ,
They're asking who's better between.
JJ's trying to start something here in the
Casey's better. Casey's better. It's
no,
easy.
That's as Sarah said. It's a tie. We run this show together, so it's a tie.
I'm gonna go with the guy that wasn't
almost
late.
amassed 1,000 subscribers.
I'm going with the guy that wasn't late.
Hey now.
Nothing else I mentioned you guys too is how about Marcus Davenport if he gets healthy?
I know,
yeah.
Right?
And that's
what
a good point.
What was that surgery he had called again? The tightrope surgery? I'm like, that doesn't sound
They just
fun.
come up with new ones every year. The tightrope.
Yeah. So did you guys hear Anthony Barr is going to be wearing 54?
Yep. He asked.
Apparently, he asked Kendricks if he could
Eric Kendricks to ask him if he could wear it.
Cool. Yeah, no, I think that was really cool.
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I just thought that was really cool that obviously Kendricks would probably they're like best friends or whatever. And then I totally forgot. I was like, who's 55 on our team? It's Andre Carter.
Yeah.
But I was like, I mean, you should have gave him like $1,000 for that or something. But at this point, obviously Andre Carter's still a rookie and Anthony Barr was not on a team like a week ago. So a couple days ago, actually. But yeah, no, that's cool to see. You like to see that kind of stuff. And I think, and there's already pictures with him near Harrison Smith. And we talked about it on our video that we dropped about Anthony Barr signing. And it is just one of those things that isn't just a boost for your team that we desperately need because we don't have, like Dave said, we only have Troy Dye. And because Asamoah is also been on the injury report this week. So it's like, so we're going to need him to that extent, but not just from like a playing standpoint, just from even like a morale standpoint and the veterans standpoint and knowing that they're close with Anthony Barr. Like if one of my buddies that I played with for like 7 years or however long it was, ended up back on the team, you think that only lifts them up even more. So I think it's like, it's an interesting decision because he's not from the KOC or Quezzy's era of football, but they still decide to bring him in. So it makes you think like, hey, they're not only thinking from a talent standpoint, they're also looking in this as far as just like a morale thing, which again brings back the whole idea of just the culture here in Minnesota, which is crazy. And, you know, it's good because in a state where you have high taxes and cold weather, we need to do whatever we can to bring people up here.
The cold weather thing is a little bit over. I mean, it's cold, but come on.
Minneapolis isn't too bad, but once you get to like Duluth is pretty brutal.
Duluth is very cold.
Then you got
it's brutal, and that's where we're from. So that's what Minnesota in my head is like Duluth.
And then I know, I mean, because Anthony Barr his contract was up this season. KOC came in, right? We didn't cut him; his contract just expired.
Yep, and then Zadarius Smith was signed.
Yep, that's what it was. Because I know Kevin O'Connell did say today is like obviously we talked with Barr, a lot that last year, but we just couldn't find a way to make it work monetarily to keep him here, just in the scheme what we were doing on defense.
I thought he was gone once we signed Zadarius. So
yeah, that's also fair. But what do you think? Anything else, or should we move on to talking about this? The Denver Broncos on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah. What are we feeling, boys? What are we feeling? I think
it's going to be
Denver
fun.
Broncos just beat the Bills.
Right. Dude,
and the Chiefs the week before.
Yeah. And the Chiefs was that before? It was before their bye week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For Denver's bye week.
Before we get into that, what about the Bills? Like are things just stale with the Bills right now? Like, I mean, I really feel like if they don't win the Super Bowl, Sean McDermott's probably gone. And at this point, if I'm freaking Brian Daboll and I'm seeing that, I am trying my best to lose so much that New York gets me out of there and go back to Buffalo.
Yeah, probably.
Josh Allen is really good, right? Like he's like the modern day what you want at quarterback, but man, that guy makes some really bad decisions sometimes. I don't know if it's him just trying to do too much or what have you. Obviously, you got Stephon Diggs just doing Stephon Diggs things over there in Buffalo. And outside of that, they don't have a ton of receiving talent. So, I don't know. It's weird.
I think there's a very good chance Diggs is going to ask for a trade after the year. I think there's a pretty good chance.
Yeah,
especially
think
with
that's
his
fine.
brother tweeting out like, "Get this guy off this team" and stuff.
I,
Which is
I didn't see that, but I heard something about that.
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't
So
know. Is
I
that
didn't. I
true?
saw a clip. I saw a clip of it. So I guess I never looked. I didn't go to his
He
Twitter
says he's got to
account
get
or
out of
anything.
there.
Yeah.
I mean,
So yeah, that's
I know. Yeah,
interesting. But
I know Trevon Diggs tweeted something, but I know there's that picture of Stephon Diggs' IG story going around saying like he said go put on a Broncos jersey or something. I think that was, I don't know if that was true, but
well, that's
I
the
don't
thing
know.
about that game though. Is the Broncos won. It was not just a nice win. Like they needed all those turnovers
Mhm.
to even have a chance because that Broncos offense was barely moving for most of the game, and their defense, I mean, ultimately did get a lot of turnovers, but wasn't anything special other than, and this is something we do have to talk about. And this is why I do really want JJ back is Stephon Diggs only had one catch for 10 yards. And that shows for a defense that actually has not been that good in coverage, for a defense that has not been that great in general, because they sold a lot of their players at the deadline. Patrick Surtain is an absolute stud. And that's why, like, going into this game, like, I love Jordan Addison. And Jordan Addison's been able to catch pretty much on every cornerback that's came up to him with Dreer Alexander and Lattimore last week. But I don't know. I'd rather have JJ in there and at the very least have JJ and Surtain covering him instead of Surtain potentially taking Jordan Addison out of this game. And then it is kind of TJ Hawkinson and KJ. So I'm hoping we just get JJ for the fact that just so Surtain, we have more people that Surtain has to worry about, I guess, because that's the only thing I'm kind of worried about their defense is he has potential to be that lockdown cornerback that can take a player out of the game. Though I still think Jordan Addison catches one right on top of him. But
Yeah. And having
Yeah,
JJ
yeah.
back, or I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, it's
Oh, yeah,
all
I was
you,
gonna.
Ollie.
Okay, now I was gonna say, yeah, obviously it's gonna be great having JJ back, but honestly, having him out has really been beneficial to Jordan Addison. I mean, now he's seen the number one. I mean, he's getting more targets. He's getting covered by the number one targets. I mean, it's really been good for his development.
Yeah,
Yeah,
big time.
For sure.
What's up, Casey?
I'm just seeing some comments about Buffalo's defense. Yeah, they've been decimated by injury this year. Absolutely.
Yeah. And but no, on your point is that's why like people say obviously we're 5-0 without Justin Jefferson, whatever, but it is a blessing in disguise. Obviously, we always want Justin Jefferson out there, but we've all been calling as soon as week 1 happened that Jordan Addison should be wide receiver 2, but in front of KJ. But that's one thing about KOC. If I have one gripe, is he takes a long time to move on from a player that's not working out as well as someone else.
My biggest gripe.
Yeah, and we've seen it with Madison. We've seen it with, you could even argue with Dalton Reisner, but we've seen it Madison and Cam Akers and Madison and Ty Chandler, and we see it with a bunch of these players.
Well, people were talking about Ed Ingram, and he just let Ed Ingram play, and now Ed Ingram's playing really well.
That is
dumb now.
That is fair.
Now.
Yeah.
Honestly, I haven't, since our offensive line as a whole started really killing it, I have stopped going back and nitpicking on Ed Ingram and watching every play. Like I did that for a year and a half.
And it is fair.
Yes, it is.
Which
so I've stopped.
Ed Ingram is what's up, Lauren? The thing with Ed Ingram though is he's also a young player that you want to see the development and the potential in him, where it's like you kind of know, I guess you kind of have to ride with KJ, I guess, but you kind of know what KJ is going to be, or at least have an idea where, and same with Madison. I guess even same with Ezra Cleveland. I get the Ed Ingram thing a little bit more because it is like, hey, we spent a 2nd round pick on him and we want to see what we can get out of him. But back to the just Jordan Addison thing in general is, yeah, without JJ, it made Jordan Addison and KJ be out there together, and it made it clear that Jordan Addison is the better wide receiver, and that he was the wider. They're giving him the wide receiver 1 type of plays, and that's what we talked about prior. It's like prior to the JJ injury, is that they need to make specific plays for Jordan Addison, which they were not doing at all. And because of the JJ thing, ultimately they had to figure that out. So now you know, like, okay, we can take the training wheels off Jordan Addison, or we've already done that since JJ's been out. And now we can bring JJ back in. And now you just got 2 stud receivers that our offense and our coaches believe in and know that they're ready to produce.
And speaking of receivers, right before I saw that comment, I was going to mention too, Brandon Powell has been an underrated addition. I mean,
Clutch.
props to KLC,
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure KLC absolutely had a huge role in telling Koisi, hey, come on, let's bring this guy. I know who he is.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's because he had the big touchdown against the game-winning touchdown against Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
He had a big third down conversion against the Saints last week. Came up in other areas. Yeah, he's been playing really well since JJ went down. So I just think he's going to be in there as your number 4 guy, because obviously once JJ and KJ both get back, like
in that catch, I could say Dobbs, although it was a little short, it was really good timing, and it was between 3 defenders. So I can give him definitely Dobbs credit for making that throw, because it was timing. It was him pushing downfield and a quick hook comeback play. And shout out to Powell for diving and keeping that from hitting the carpet. So that was a really good play. He's been clutch. That wasn't those 2 plays you talked about. Those weren't the only ones, because he's had some diving catches with Cousins too, and it's been awesome.
The only criticism I have of Brandon Powell was that
on
that punt return at no, I was gonna say, remember week 2 at Philly, he had the first turnover of the game, the
punt return,
that was
his first fumble of his career, if I'm not mistaken. Apparently.
Oh, was it? And it was a really nice punt return. It was his best punt return. His best punt return he's had, probably.
Yep. Then after him, Addison loses it. Jefferson did. Cousins did. I think. Yeah.
That was a strip sack. Yeah.
Hey, luckily we're past that part of the season.
we are past that,
because that was brutal.
JJ can't go. They need Naylor more involved in the offense. David, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Because he had the one nice catch with a little bit of shake.
I think it takes a little while. I mean, who is Dobbs comfortable with?
TJ.
That's it.
TJ, and he does kind of have a chemistry with Powell. Like, there is a little bit of chemistry with Brandon Powell, which is something interesting about. I think so. I mean, he goes to him, and it's part of it's on Powell getting open, I guess. But going to him on third down, going to him to win the football game, like those type of things. Obviously, he doesn't know these players super well, I guess.
Yeah,
but
that was a full progression read to that touchdown. He was all the way to the right.
It just feels like there was a little bit of chemistry going down, which makes me wonder if JJ does come back. Like, I think it's just going to be JJ
stay away. You're going to ruin the chemistry.
But I don't think to that extent, but you do wonder, like, you should probably use Powell more now than what it was when JJ was here before, where it was just JJ, KJ, and Addison for the most part. So it is going to be interesting to see what they do with KJ and Brandon Powell moving forward once JJ gets back.
Well, especially in today's NFL, you can never have too many receivers, right?
Right, absolutely. Yeah, everybody listen to Joey in here. Go hit the like button if you haven't already. Come on now.
Oh, yeah. Get those likes in here. Get those likes in here. And again, everybody,
if you aren't already,
we're giving away a Jordan Addison rookie card this time. I'm changing it up. I thought this got lost in the mail, but it didn't. But Jordan Addison rookie card, get those hashtag skulls in the comments. Like the videos, like Joey Hawking has said. Subscribe to the channels if you haven't already. GG Sports Pod, Dave. Everything is in the description. And then go follow Ali on Twitter. The reigning nice guy in Vikings Twitter from last year. I don't know, is Dustin going to have his little Viking thing again this year? I know he's talking about last year.
I think he is.
He is.
He does it every year around I think this time or December he does.
Okay. I know last year
he's just not going to have queen of Twitter, I don't think.
The Vike Queen thing got a little out of control, I guess.
That one got a little out of hand, unfortunately. But going into this matchup against Denver, it's like, yeah, their defense doesn't scare me, but their offense sort of kind of does. It's a little bit strange because Russell Wilson can obviously, he's shown it, like, especially the last few weeks over there in Denver. I mean, obviously when it started, we're like, Sean Payton is not making that big of a difference. Still playing as bad as he did last year. But
260 yards against Kansas City and 110 throwing, so it's not that great.
Yeah, but he started to look a little bit more like the Russell Wilson of old. He does have talent on the team. Cortland Sutton was because I remember 2 years ago, Cortland Sutton was supposed to, like, just absolutely explode. Then he tore his ACL and they kind of put him back a year. Jerry Jeudy, I remember when he was supposed to be the most talented receiver in the 2021 or 2020 receiving class. Obviously JJ holds that spot now, but I know he still has talent. Javonte Williams has come around. So I don't know. I mean, obviously, like I'm not afraid of their offense, but Russell Wilson, when he's on, he is that type of quarterback this team has struggled against. This year, obviously, we played much better. I feel like Brian Flores actually, unlike defensive coordinators of the past, game plans specifically for the quarterback, and I think we've been really good about our edge rushers
Amazing.
containing them and keeping them in the pocket. I mean, Russell Wilson can still beat you from the pocket. He's shown over his career, but he's way more dangerous when he's able to get outside and move. So I don't know, man. It's I mean, I don't have huge concerns over their offense, but I am just a little bit concerned that if Russell Wilson is on, it could be a tough one.
Well,
Ooh,
I mean, his
Draymond
last
5 games, huh? Damn.
here's
Good.
his last starts: 193, 114, 194, 95, 196,
For
and they have
what?
to go back 6 games to where he broke 200.
Well, the thing with Russell Wilson, and if you watch that Buffalo game, it's not just as him getting his yards, it's his ability to escape pressure. And
did
a
you
lot
see
of
that
those
Courtland-
are short, but he
Did you
does
see
have that
Courtland
ability
Sutton
still.
touchdown?
Yeah. Yeah, that was
Like
insane.
Yeah. And
That's
just
the
like
thing
the
is
way
he's-
Russell Wilson is able to extend and just kind of drop it in the
Yeah,
bucket.
he's one
like
of the
that.
best.
Like he still has that.
And he's one of the best in the entire NFL at doing that prior to last season. And then this season, obviously, he's still not the same, but he is
Right.
showing a little bit of that Russ magic is really what it is. Though I'm still not nervous about it because, I mean, he still isn't the same Russell Wilson. And what you said again, Brian Flores, and I would say that's one thing, even with Mike Zimmer, who's an amazing defensive mind, he still struggled against these mobile quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And not just mobile quarterbacks, but even these pass heavy running backs, scat back type of running backs. And so far, Flores has just done amazing against both of them. I mean, Jalen Hurts really, what did Jalen Hurts end up having on us for yards? Not a lot, definitely not a lot on the ground.
Well, I mean, not when your
Well,
running
yeah,
back has what 100
throwing, but on
Yeah.
the ground,
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
think it was too much.
Yeah, the actual rushing was pretty bad in the second half of that game, but he's done an amazing job. And yeah, it is the difference that Flores brings, and it just shows you how good, a coordinator can really be, and how much of a difference that actually one single thing as a coach can change an entire defense. Just make sure we don't have
Wilson had
12 miles on
100
the field and kicking a field goal.
Russell
Yeah,
Wilson
we got to
had,
make sure of that.
Sorry, he had 144 yards total offense against Kansas City, rushing and throwing.
And Javonte Williams has been really good. And that's something I think if there's an X factor in this game, it might be him because he's been getting ramped up and he looked really good before his, was it an ACL, I think, last year. And now he's getting like 20 carries a game and he's looking pretty good. And obviously it's been a really weird season as far as a rush defense goes, because 1 week it's terrible. And we need to go get a defensive tackle right now. We need to go get Akeem Hicks right now. And then the next thing you know, what was I going to say? Then the next week, all of a sudden their running backs does nothing against our defense. So I don't know, maybe it is just mostly scheme, but give Flores raise. Yeah, you need to give Flores whatever it takes for him just to stay around. Though it's going to be hard to pass up a head coaching job.
Denver's running back is the only thing that worries me. I mean, yeah. Again, I mean,
but I'm not that worried.
No, but if Wilson gets on, I'm just saying he has the weapons that could hurt our defense if we let it get to that point. So again, I still think we win this game, but I just have that feeling that if Russ can get on, that he could give us a few problems. But I just feel like Flores has been so much better about scheming for whatever quarterback you're playing. So
yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, obviously Wilson's not the same as he was before, but yeah, this year he's been playing good. Yeah, he's got 18 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. I mean, I remember what his stats were from last year, but last year he didn't look very good. But so
I think
still give me some.
He had 16 touchdowns, 11 picks.
He has more touchdowns this year than he had all of last year already, and it's only halfway through the season. So we're trying to overhype him up here so that he obviously falls below expectations.
You guys are Lou Holtz.
He just sucks.
I mean, that is the truth. And at the end of the day, again, we've played against Kansas City, we've played against the Eagles, we've played against some really good quarterbacks with even better wide receivers than they have there. So I do think, and in both those games, you could have argued saying that those should have been won. So that's why I'm not worried. This isn't I would say even the offense last week is probably more worrisome than the Broncos, I would probably say. And their defense. I think the Saints is a better team than the Broncos, in my opinion, especially the defense, because the defense for them has not been good. And yeah, especially in not in coverage other than Surtain, and just overall, I think they have like the worst the worst tackling grade in the NFL right now.
Yeah. Do I still think Flores bolts after this season? I think it would have to be. I think it partially has to be for the right opportunity, and I am really curious to see if the whole lawsuit thing actually does affect his standing to get a head coaching position. It'll be really interesting to see how that goes, but I would love to. I mean, I'd love to see him stick around here another year. My big hope is that obviously I'm really hoping that when O'Connell signed him on, there was some sort of conversation about having the next guy ready to go just in case he does leave after this year. Like, I hope there's someone on the staff that they're grooming to be the next defensive coordinator of this football team. I really hope that's the case.
That third preseason game, both of them gave up play calling to an assistant.
Did they?
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, Wes Phillips got the call.
Yeah, no, Flores had someone else do it too. I don't know who that was though.
That'd be interesting. Interesting.
Better be the next guy. It'll be interesting though, because it's like, what can you learn in one season? You know, hopefully a lot, but I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, just the fact that this team has had so many injuries and has won 5 in a row. I mean, that is huge props to this entire coaching staff.
Yes, absolutely. That's the biggest thing. And just not even from coaching, a coaching perspective, just from keeping their minds in the right place after the start we had. Like, that's the biggest part of it for me, was just how they're able to keep everybody. And now, like, you really feel like O'Connell I feel like that was one thing Zimmer always struggled with, was not knowing how to coach a team with expectations or who came off a big win. Like, I think that's why we were so like playoffs, no playoffs. Because Zimmer's thing was always like, they don't believe in us. Like, no one thinks we can do it after a losing season. So let's go and do it. Then they win. And then there's the expectations on them. Like, hey, now, like, you guys are a good team. We have you after the 2017 season. You're number 1 in the power rankings. And then he doesn't know how to coach a team with expectations. And we drop down with disappointment. A couple years later, he's fired. Where Kevin O'Connell, I was worried about that at the beginning of this season. But now you feel like he's coached them out of the depths, and now we're on this winning streak. People are talking about Josh Dobbs. They're talking about this team, and he's still kept them level-headed. You know, so that's the most impressive thing there. And that's the thing. That's why, you know, I know Purple for the Win always says he likes how baseball calls them managers and not head coaches, because your job as a coach of a team is to you're coaching, but you're also managing all the personalities. Because there's, you know, every person's got a different personality, obviously. It's like you're managing the different personalities on your football team, and he does a really good job of that.
And, you know, just in general, like I said, Zimmer did some good things, but I think just in the end, I think he has too much of an old school mentality, where I think that's part of what makes the players like O'Connell more. You know, he's you know, he's
young
more
kids
relatable.
are soft.
I was a big Zimmer guy, and then now
I was for the most part.
I have a total different opinion of him after the players came out and started talking about what he was doing. Totally different opinion now. It maybe not always was like that, but I think it started in 2018. I think it started then, and unfortunately, he lost his job, and we made the right move, and I feel like we have our forever coach.
Yeah, and I remember last year I was wondering too, of all the returning players from Zimmer, how many of them do you think miss having him there? I'm guessing if there's any, probably very few. I'm sure, because big reason is they just love O'Connell so much too.
Yeah,
sure.
and a lot of them did respect Zimmer, and he was close to some of these players. But you give a guy like Kevin O'Connell, like, I'm sure some of them probably were like, "Oh, that kind of stinks," because I was close to him. But Kevin O'Connell comes in, and he's like exactly what the type of coach you want as a player. It doesn't get much better than Kevin O'Connell as a player's coach, and then to be able to actually be good at your job on top of that, because people do talk about like, even they did, especially at the beginning of the season, in case he mentioned it earlier, is Kevin O'Connell too soft or not? Like, how do you have to be as an NFL coach? And you're getting a guy in Kevin O'Connell who can be that player friendly coach, but then also, is still has the leadership ability to put together a really good team.
And
Sure.
remember,
And yeah, that's like because after the 49ers game, I mean, you could have easily seen them come out, like Sarah's comment there, come out in the Packer game and play like garbage or play, just like have that big hangover. But because that 49ers game was a huge win. They came out on a short week into Lambeau and they dominated the Packers pretty much all day long there. So and again, just another testament to just what this team, just the attitude that this team has this year. It's just different than anything we've seen in quite. I mean, that last year we saw it too with a lot of the, the close wins and stuff and just keeping those streaks going. But love to see it.
Yeah, remember Brian O'Neill was talking about how Zimmer just wasn't very
Wouldn't talk to him in the hallway.
No, that was Spielman wouldn't wave at him or say hi to him in the hallway or something like that is what it was.
I think it was Zimmer.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Zimmer.
I think he was pretty sure he was talking about Zimmer.
Oh, I thought it was Spielman.
Wouldn't wave to Brian Robinson, you said?
Oh, Brian O'Neill.
Oh,
yeah, Brian O'Neill. Brian O'Neill was one of the big voices coming out of the game and talking about coaching through fear and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was that was Eric Kendrick's big. That was Eric Kendrick's. Big
that was
thing.
Kendrick's, but O'Neill said
organization or something like that. Yeah,
O'Neill backed out everything up, I think. So and that was that's a defensive dude, And who was it that who was the guy that was our special teams guy that Rap hated? What was his name?
Marwan Malouf,
the cornerback.
The cornerback that he hated. Special teams.
Our special teams ace that we got rid of. He was going. We almost went to the Pro Bowl last year. What's his name?
Yeah. No, it's he was our gunner last year, and he's a big vocal
Well, anyways,
on all the videos.
he was interviewed after the season that
Chris Boyd.
Zimmer's asshole was this tight.
Chris Boyd.
I did a TikTok and it blew up. Or YouTube short and it blew up, and he was like, this was Zimmer's asshole. He said on the interview. So there was guys even on defense speaking up about him after the game, after the season. So it wasn't just offensive players. So I think he lost a lot of people, and especially after and I think they were fresh off of having that PowerPoint presentation that he did end of season right before he got fired, like the day before he got fired, he did an end of season presentation of all the things that weren't his fault. They talked about that PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way on the way out too. So.
Yep, I do remember that.
Yeah,
Sarah. Unfortunately, I think Dan Campbell wins no matter what happens with the way that Lions.
It's already in the script.
Yeah.
What do you think? If we win the division, don't you think we would?
We should.
Yeah, but
Kevin O'Connell would. I think if we make the playoffs,
the Twins
to win Coach of the Year.
Twins one year, we came back from 8 games down with like 3 weeks to go, beat the Detroit Tigers, and then their coach got Coach of the Year when ours beat him.
I think if we
8 games, but they collapsed and we won the division with like 3 weeks to go, down 8 games.
Yeah, if we win the division, I think it should be KOC. If they win the division, then because that's the one thing.
Sure.
It's like, no
Whoever
matter
wins the division, give it to him.
Well, because I mean, you have to look at it like Dan Campbell has been a really good coach this entire. Not saying KOC hasn't, but KOC obviously his is more of like, all right, it was some pretty bad games the first 5 weeks, and then he was able to bounce
Lost Justin
back.
Jefferson for 5 games. Lost your starting quarterback.
That is true.
That's the tiebreaker right there.
That's actually very fair.
I mean, I do think DeMeco Ryans ends up sneaking his way into. I mean, he's going to be like top. He'll be a top 3 guy with what he's done.
I think DeMeco Ryans actually. I agree with Mateo. I think DeMeco Ryans, and if they keep playing the way they are right now, I think he beats out Campbell straight up, because the Houston was supposed to be one of the worst teams. It's the same thing as DeBall in last year. Exactly the same thing, and that's another. KOC had 13-4 wins, and it doesn't win because DeBall was able to change around.
She was actually 40.
Change around this Giants, Giants offense.
It was actually 40. So
yeah, even if the Vikings continue to win, I still think it's Detroit's division to lose. I mean, unless Goff ends up having to miss a few games. I mean, I still think it's Detroit's division, but I mean, we'll see.
We control our destiny.
Yeah,
we do, because we play them twice.
Destiny.
We play them twice, and if we win both those games, as long as if if we stay at the same, like if we have the same record that we have now at the end of the season, but we played each other twice and we win both those games, we win the division.
Good point too.
First place
Yeah.
schedule.
Honestly,
First place
looking at
schedule.
the rest of
schedule.
looking at the rest of the Vikings schedule, I think the game at Detroit, I think that's a loss. I mean, I'm not making any guarantees, but the rest of the games, including Detroit at home, they have a very good chance of winning.
That Bengals game is going to be fun. I can't wait. That's going to be a fun.
And I don't even know who knows what Bengals you're going to get, because they've been up and down, like as crazy as it gets this season.
I mean, I think if the season ended today, neither the Bills or Bengals would be in the playoffs. I'm pretty sure. Or no, the Bengals might. They lost. No,
Bengals
they might
maybe.
I guess I don't know. I don't think so. I think Houston. I think
Bills
Houston
definitely not.
I think Houston jumped them for the 7th seed after their win the other day.
And that's crazy. Again, we have what was the percentage? 70% chance we make playoffs now.
Something like that.
83%.
It is 83%.
Bumped up.
Ooh, I didn't know that. No, that's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy, especially after starting 1-4.
Yeah, Bengals are 8th right now. Buffalo's 10th. It's almost like it's be hard for us to lose our playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
Buccaneers would only be the only team I'd be like,
because they have does head-to-head matter when it comes to tiebreakers, or is it just like conference record first? I forget.
No, it's head-to-head first.
Okay. Which, I mean, obviously they have that, but yeah, outside of that, then there's like.
But hey, think of this.
Saints.
Think of this. We win the division. That means we'll have a hell of a damn good record. We have the tiebreaker over San Fran. We could be the 2nd seed.
Hey, let's go.
That could be fun.
How huge would the win over Philly have been? Oh man.
Oh
yeah, no shit. Yeah. Be the 1 seed.
Yeah. It's just, this is such an interesting season,
right
but
now.
I know we should have beat the Eagles. We should. I mean, who knows if we would have beat the Chiefs, but at the very least, we were right there to tie it up, and we definitely could have. Man, those are crazy. And then
of all the games that they lost, without a doubt, if they had to win just one of those games, no doubt I'd pick Philly.
Oh
yeah,
dude.
Of course.
And it was ours to win.
And we're 6-2 in the conference and 2-0 in the division. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Ooh, is Watson deal or Wilson the worst trade ever? I would say Watson.
It's not Wilson anymore.
Wilson's still playing
good.
And Watson got fully guaranteed. Watson was fully guaranteed.
Was it 230 million? Was it
something like that? That's crazy.
It's definitely Watson now. I was thinking Wilson until he started playing good again.
Yeah. People are gonna be like, Deshaun, I thought it was your thumb that hurts. Why are those ladies touching your? You know what? Never mind. You just keep doing you, man. You just keep doing you. I really think the Bears game could be, or the letdown game could be the Bears next week. When we're gonna buy, we will have to still take.
Better not, because Bears fans talking shit to me, and I want to keep it up.
I think the big thing though it is going to be a home game. They'll have a little extra time to prepare because it's a Monday night game that week. So I think it'll be fine. I think Kevin O'Connell doesn't really seem to have he had a couple letdown games last year. We got absolutely.
I don't feel as worried because our defense is playing so well. You know what I'm saying? Don't you feel a comfortability? Brian Flores has got this covered.
Yeah, and honestly, oh no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying it does. It's all you.
No, I was gonna say honestly, the end of the Saints game, I was not as nervous as I was in previous games. I was just like, this team just feels different. They've been since O'Connell's come in, they've just been so good at closing out games. For the most part, that I was like, I just don't see them losing this game against the Saints, even though it kept getting closer. I was like, you know what? I think this game is ours.
Yeah, I didn't feel any nerves. It didn't feel like this was a team. Yeah, it didn't feel like it was a team. And you can say a thing about the Timberwolves too, because the Timberwolves, even more than the Vikings, you're always waiting for the other team to turn the game around and beat you. Yeah, exactly. Every time. And the same thing with the Timberwolves. Like, you're feeling, because our defense is so good, but you feel like you're confident that that's not going to happen when you watch these Wolves. And it is with the Vikings too. And it is a lot to do with Flores. But the whole time it was like, I don't know, you're kind of waiting for a mistake to happen. And we saw two of them with Jameis Winston throwing 2 picks, but you're just waiting for it. Like, I never really felt nervous. It didn't really feel. It doesn't feel like that team where you're just waiting for it to happen. It's like, same old Vikings or same old Timberwolves.
We just saved that for Wild Card Weekend. That's when we start having those feelings because that's just kind of how it works.
And speaking of Jameis Winston, I know he throws a lot of picks, but like the one he threw to Murphy, and as a Vikings fan, I was happy through the interception, but as an NFL fan, I'm like, there's 3 defenders there. He's forcing it to one guy. I mean, he's not throwing to Randy Moss. Why is he, or Calvin Johnson? It's like he's throwing it at a guy being triple covered.
And it's funny too, because that's the thing with Jameis Winston is as soon as Derek Carr went out, it seemed like that was the worst thing that could have happened to us because Jameis Winston came in and started balling out on us. And then it was like, oh, this is why Jameis Winston never became who people thought. And it became those two not good picks.
It was a lot of fucking balls.
Yeah. And I don't mean to compare Jameis Winston to Brett Favre. Obviously Brett Favre was much better, but like Favre, he's a big risk taker. Although Favre won those risks. I mean, more often, of course, than Winston has.
Yeah, 100%.
Sure.
I think if you give Winston as many games as Favre played, he'll have as many picks.
Yeah, he just might.
Yeah,
it's crazy that Favre is the league leader in picks.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was picks used to happen more often back then than now. So, but yeah.
Well, yeah, even it's crazy how Favre's 39-year-old season was so like a legendary thing, and now you're almost expected to play
top
till you're
4
40.
For him.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, now, what was the thing about him being the only quarterback who's aged 40 or 39, and now pretty much all these quarterbacks are playing until they're 40?
Right. Absolutely.
Well, part of it's the rules. I mean, you can't touch quarterbacks.
That
anymore.
is true.
Yeah, that is actually fair.
Yeah, because in 2008, when
Roethlisberger was, I thought he was going to retire 2 or 3 times because of injuries.
It's nope.
Yeah, because remember in 2008 when Tom Brady tore his ACL on a low hit, that's when they said you can't hit the quarterback that low anymore. Well, although unfortunately when Favre took that hit in the title game, they didn't call that.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we did it against Carr. We didn't even get a penalty, did we?
What, the high-low hit that knocked him out of the game? No, we didn't.
We didn't even get a penalty.
I mean, I guess I don't. I mean, obviously they're looking at the Danielle Hunter. That's a clean hit by Danielle Hunter. It's like, who's the other guy? Was it Wanham? Because the other guy did go a little low. Did go a little bit low.
Well, I think he had his back turned to him too. Like he had fallen down. Like he wasn't engaging him. I think it was more like they might have took it as he hit him and he knocked him over a guy that was on the ground rather than 2 guys hitting him.
Speaking of penalties, how ridiculous was the one that was called against Danielle? He has his helmet ripped off. And
illegally getting your helmet ripped off, penalty 15 yards. What the worst call of the week for sure.
Dude, of the year.
I mean, because it's weird because if you look there is he does have the hand up in the helmet, so it's a fair call if he doesn't get his own helmet ripped off. I just don't understand how you can just miss that.
Yeah, and then say hands in the face, number 99, and then the replay just immediately shows Danielle Hunter get his helmet.
And wait to say this guy. I mean, some players would have been pissed. He handled it.
First, I thought the penalty was on Harrison Smith for some reason. I'm because he's the one that hit him. But then all of a sudden, I'm wait, why is it on Hunter? He's the one that practically almost had his head ripped off.
That's dumb.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. But back to this Broncos game. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? That's the thing with this game. It's just to me, it just feels like a game we should win. I felt the same way against the Falcons. I felt the same way against the Saints. It's just this is a game that I think we have the more talented team and we should just win. I think our defense is better than the Broncos. I think our offense is better than the Broncos. And
Broncos defense is dead last in yards.
I would have been happy if they would have flew up there for the week and practice there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that is true. Everything. Yeah, that's
elevation. Getting used to elevation. That's my only problem with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which when I lived there for a while, I do get it. I thought I was sick or something for the first week, but because I had low energy and I'm oh yeah, duh.
And that's why I was upset where we just flew in on a Friday in London last year.
Mm-hmm.
But the last time when we played Steelers, we came there for an entire week. And we went out, we were blowing them out for a while there, and then they let the game get close, and then Roethlisberger, I think, threw a pick that end of the game. But
yeah,
That was when we were both 0-5.
Well,
Or
last time the
0-4 or
Vikings,
whatever.
Those are the fun years.
last time the Vikings won in Denver was Halloween of '99. Jeff George was the quarterback, and yep, and one of my favorite all-time plays happened that game. 3rd down and 37. They give it to Leroy Horde. He ran 53 yards. Remember that, Dave?
I have a horrible memory, but now I'm gonna Google it.
I'm like, I know I can't. I don't remember that. The '98 season was like the first
That was
season
And he's
that I
still
somewhat
only, and he's
remember.
even with that run, he still only averaged 3.3 yards for the season. No, I didn't remember
I'll
something
see
like
if I-
that. I remember a big play by Horde. I don't remember the game or whatever, but yeah, I remember a big play.
I'll see if I can put
How
that
old
clip
are
in our
you,
chat.
man? Ollie, how
Me?
old are you?
37.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm getting old, so yeah.
Yeah, so old. Shit.
I feel
Well, if I wasn't
I
wearing,
feel it.
well, if I wasn't wearing my hat, you could see some of the gray hairs, and I'm losing some on the top.
Pull it out. No,
Same here.
I'm 50, so
Casey's
29.
I
I'm
was
29 and I'm losing hair. So I keep a hat on all the time.
Yeah, I was in the 8th grade that year, that '99 year. I became a fan in '96.
Okay. So hey, you became a fan. So
I
you
don't
became a
remember
fan
not
of.
being a fan.
Were you living? How were you living in Minnesota your whole life?
Yep.
And then you just became a football fan in '96. I guess you're only 6 years old, or no, you're in 6th grade.
No. Fifth grade. I was 10 years old. I was a casual Vikings fan. '96, '97 became a
I
diehard
gotcha.
fan. But
Yeah,
No,
which
just,
is funny because
yeah, so in the 3rd grade, I pretty much was just a Michael Jordan fan. Then 5th grade, Vikings, Wolves, Twins. Yep.
yeah. Yep. And then that's funny because when I was around 8th grade when it like took the next level of Viking fandom, and which was Adrian Peterson's rookie year, was 2007. But that was the
Drafted
year
him in the
that
3rd round of my fantasy league and won. 13
Did you-
team league. I would pick
Dude,
13th.
the
I
funny
picked
thing about
Adrian
that,
Peterson with my 3rd pick.
I picked Randy Moss. That was my first year of fantasy football too, and I picked Randy Moss with my first pick. And this was when he left. He was just leaving Oakland, so he probably wouldn't have been drafted until like the 3rd round. But obviously, I was still like a big Randy Moss fan. I didn't know anything about football really, and I picked him number 1 pick, and he ended up having his 20 touchdown season or whatever.
Yeah, I think I was also your TO had a big season, and I was in another league, and this dude picked up TO and Moss, and it was like, holy shit, he won the league hands down. Those guys had like 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns.
No, not when I first became a fan in '96. Warren Moon was the starter quarterback, but he was injured a lot of the year. So Brad Johnson, for the most part, was the QB. So yeah, so '96, '97, both years they made the playoffs at 9-7. They could not sell out. They had 5 games that weren't sold out, and then '98 Moss came, and they just sold out every game since then.
Yeah.
I know, that's hilarious, and that's when I was like a young kid and being like, hey, people, like that's how it got my attention was Randy Moss. So for us, it's like we never had like the idea, like the Vikings in the '80s. I basically have no idea anything almost about that era. It's like the '70s. I know because it was like the Super Bowls and all that, but then the '80s, pretty much blank for me.
I started watching the first Brett Favre year, so I'm just sitting there like, what's everybody complain about this team for? They look amazing, and then NFC championship game happened, and then the next 14 years happened. I'm just like, oh, that's why. Okay, cool, got it.
Yeah, and now you know more than now you know for sure. It gets brutal out here. It's brutal out here, but hey,
we got 4 minutes till Timberwolves tip off, so we got to move some things along here.
Okay,
we got back.
Right. Yeah, back to back and against the Suns. We need to keep that. That's 8 for the 8-game win streak. Yesterday they got their 7th game in a row, which was the first time since 2003 or 2000. Yeah, 2003 I think was the last time they had 7 wins in a row. So that's pretty crazy. But again, everybody, Jordan Addison card here. We're going to give it away pretty quick here. So get your hashtag goals in the comments. So like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe to our channels, GG Sports Podcast and Minnesota Sports Talk with Dave here. And then go follow Ali on Twitter. I put the link in the chat again. We're going to give this away. So, score predictions. How are we feeling?
27-17 Vikings.
Ooh, he already knew. He already knew. Ollie knew what he's coming in for. 27.
I'm gonna go like
27-17.
I'm gonna go like 24-17. Win by a touchdown.
That was mine last week. God, I do like that. 24-17.
I was pretty close. I was what 27. I was 24-20. We won 27-19.
Yeah, that's pretty close. That's pretty close. I'm gonna go with we got JJ in here. Too many basketball games. Oh, I love it. I love when the Wolves are good. It's just like when any Minnesota teams are actually good, it's great. Otherwise, if they're terrible, then it's like
Like but, I will say that like this last year for the Twins was the most fun I've had watching Twins baseball in a long time. Just because they were
2002. Yep, definitely.
Just because they were looking. Yeah. I mean, they were frustrating so many times this year where they're like, God, they should be better than this. Like when they would lose 3 out of 4 to Detroit, but they just kept it interesting just long enough. And
what'd you say was the last time we won 7 games in a row?
2003, I think.
We won 7 last year.
Not in a row.
Detroit, New Orleans, Chicago.
No,
Miami,
for the
Arizona.
Timberwolves.
Oh shit! I thought you were talking about. I thought we're a Vikings YouTube channel, so I didn't know we're talking about Timberwolves.
Well, we changed. Hey, Mr. Minnesota Sports Talk over there.
Hey, I started out as a Minnesota sports channel.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, my cover picture is KG and Jordan. So.
Jordan. I know we need to recreate. I know everybody's talking about. We need to recreate the Anthony Edwards the Kevin Garnett, Randy Moss picture with Anthony Edwards and Justin Jefferson.
I don't know.
That's
why
only
that
after JJ gets his money. JJ's got to get that extension.
Yeah, JJ does. He has to get his money. Yeah, because Ant got his money.
That's true. The day he signs it, they should put him over here in a room and have a camera shoot.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. And then Jaden McDaniels and Jordan Addison. All right. Hey, what up? Noah Kyle Lee. What's up? So, I never even gave my prediction. I'm going to go with 30. I'm going to go 30-14.
Ooh,
30-14
points.
I didn't give mine 30-17.
And Dobbs is going to continue this magic. I'm going to be optimistic here. He's going to continue this magic and play. And that's another big thing from last game that I was most impressed by him was no turnovers. And let's hope he keeps that rolling.
Should have had one right away, though.
I just saw something else, too. Another reason why I don't want to see a lot of big plays by the Broncos is you keep hearing that horse sound in the background. Oh, God.
Yeah. We just like to hear wait, I have it on here, right? There we go. It's very quiet. Hold on a second. There we go. That's what we want to hear.
Amy, is 21 entries a record?
It might be. I don't know. I think we've had it before. I think we have it again. All right. We're going to run this thing. Jordan Addison. I know you guys, even though Justin Jefferson rookie cards are worth more, I probably exhausted it a little bit. So we got a Jordan Addison rookie card in here. Let's give this thing away. You have to be here to win. Y'all already know the rules, and we stick to them. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Who do we got? I'm seeing Zoe in here. I'm seeing Malik in here. I'm seeing Two-Tone Tony. We got JJ Vikings. His strategy works again. That and giving our algorithm boost with all his commenting. JJ, you already won. You don't need to write anymore.
Stop. It's okay.
I'm looking at it.
You already won.
Does that even work?
No, it doesn't. But hey, he tries.
He does it anyway.
I don't know. The first time he did it, it worked. So now he's been doing it every time. JJ, you got a Jordan Addison rookie card coming to you to add to your collection. Let's go, JJ. Let's go.
Straight cash, homie. Straight cash, homie.
I forget.
Straight cash, homie.
All right. That's gonna be JJ in about 10 years.
Never know. All right. Anything else before we hop off here?
I'm good for now, man. This was a lot of fun, man.
Yeah,
we
a big
appreciate
thank you to Ali for hopping in with us tonight. We appreciate the insight, man. It's always fun. You're welcome back anytime you want to. Just be sure to let us know.
Absolutely.
Everybody
Yeah,
else
great.
who hopped in here, thank you guys so much for hopping in. Hopefully next week we're sitting here talking about another 6-game win streak, and the Vikings just keep on going, baby. Let's keep it rocking.
And hopefully the Wolves get 8 in a row tonight.
Let's hope so.
Let's go.
All right.
Go
See you guys
Vikes,
next time.
everyone.